Good evening and welcome to the Ogden City Council special meeting of March 8th, 2016. I would like to note that all members are present except Councilmember Lopez, who is asked to be excused tonight. Next up on our agenda is the approval of minutes. The joint study session and regular meeting of September 22nd, 2015, and the joint study session and work session of January 5th, 2016. Councilmember Garner.
Yes, Chair White, I've reviewed those minutes and found them to be correct.
And the work session of September 22nd, 2015, Councilmember Heyer.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I have reviewed those and found them to be accurate and would make a motion that we approve the minutes listed in the agenda.
I'd second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and second by Councilmember, Stevens. Thanks. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Fantastic, that passes. On our agenda item, next is common consent. We have the 2015 Weber County Pre-Disaster Mitigation Plan.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we approve common consent item A.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and second by Councilmember Garner to adopt proposed joint resolution 2016-7. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Nadolski?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember Garner?
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer?
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes. I'd like to make a quick comment. Thank you for all of your work, Ryan. This is not good. Next up on our agenda item is new business, council norms and rules of procedure amendments. Ms. Eller-Smith.
Thank you, Chair White. Council members, it's good to be before you. As you know, the council periodically adopts, we have rules and norms by which we operate. The council rules of procedure outline how you conduct your meetings and address other procedural issues. And the council norms set forth your purpose and vision and goals and sort of the day-to-day activities of how we operate as issues arise. So first I'd like to address the changes to proposed modifications to the rules of procedure. I've included in your packet the red line version, and I know that sometimes those are hard to read. There are lots of changes, but most of those were just grammatical or punctuation or changes that I thought would make it a little bit more clear in reading. So with the rules of procedures, there's only two substantive changes proposed. One just clarifies how and when council members may participate electronically in council meetings. As you know, currently the rules of procedures require 24-hour, well, it requires a 6-day notification to council staff, but we must amend our agendas within 24 hours or at least 24 hours before the meeting if council members are going to participate electronically. And we've had a couple of situations arise when council members have been ill unexpectedly or had an emergency arise where they could have participated in the meeting electronically, but because we didn't have enough time to notice it, they were kept from participating. And so we've proposing to amend the rules to allow that when we notice our meetings, we'll just sort of have a blanket notice that council members may be participating electronically. We're still asked that council members notify staff within 6 days or as soon as you know that you're going to be away so that we can make the appropriate notifications so you don't get assigned minutes, those kinds of things, other items that go on the agenda. And that just helps us run our day-to-day activities. So we would still ask that you do that. We did add a requirement that you notify us in writing. There's been a couple of times when council members have just said, oh, by the way, I'm not going to be here next week, as they've left the meeting, and one of us has dropped the ball, and we don't want that to happen again. So it helps if it's in writing and we can get it on the calendar. The second proposed change just changes the meeting start time for the work sessions. As you know, for years and years and years, we've always held our work sessions after our regular meetings, and now we're proposing to start our work sessions at 3:30 in the afternoon. They'll go to approximately 5:30, and then allow a break for dinner, and then start the regular meetings at 6 o'clock. We will no longer have what we're now calling a study session. We will just be reviewing agenda items for the regular meeting in that work session as well. So with regard to the modifications to the council norms, there's a few more. Most of them are just minor. I made some changes to where our staff agenda meetings can be held. They were very specific, and I thought we needed to just change that to allow them to be held other places. We now put in a requirement that when you have a public hearing, that you now make a motion to open that public hearing. This is something that I picked up on a county agenda that I thought would be a good way of, and a better signal to those in the audience that now is the time for the hearing. And then, of course, you always do close with a motion, and that would continue. We've added a new process for citizen recognitions. Ms. Mabey has worked really hard to develop a way that we can recognize citizens in the community, and sometimes the timing has been difficult if council needs to take action on that. This is a less formal way of recognition, but still provides that honoring recognition from the council that can be given to presented at another meeting, or doesn't need that action, so it's not held up by some time constraints that we might normally have. We're changing the process for recognizing new committee members to align with our current practice. A few years ago, the Recorder's Office took over how we notify new committee members, and that process just didn't get changed in our norms, and so that just aligns with what we're doing now. We also added a new procedure termed extending to provide an option for handling unforeseen circumstances that arise during council meetings. So we have the process of tabling, but when you table an item under current rules, you have to table to a date certain. Sometimes it's hard as staff to identify that date certain. We really don't know how long it could take to address the issues that come up in the meeting. We're not caught off guard very often, but occasionally we are. And then we just have to sort of guess how long it's going to take us. This will at least give us a couple of days to figure out how long it really will take, and then to address concerns. That there's a requirement that staff come back the next week after you've extended an outline for the council and for the public, a process for working through the issue, an estimated timeline, and then also a communications plan. And hopefully this new method will just give us one more way of addressing an issue that comes up if we need it. We also change in the norms the start time for our work sessions, and basically do away with the study sessions. I reorganized the section on emergency preparedness, and then added a requirement that council members will complete their basic FEMA training. And most of the other changes were grammar and punctuation. So unless you have any questions, it's just staff's recommendation that you adopt the resolution adopting these amended rules and procedures and council norms.
And Madam Chair, I have just one for clarification. Sometimes those study sessions are very important to us before we go into our regular council. Will we eliminate that entirely, or will we have time time in our work session to cover some of those things.
That'll be the plan, is that we will cover items that are going to be addressed in the meeting during the work session.
Other comments? Questions?
Seems there's no other comments. I'll make a motion that we adopt proposed resolution 2016-8.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilmember Garner and second by Councilmember Heyer to adopt the proposed resolution 2016. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Councilmember Garner,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair, Chair White.
Aye. That passes. Next on our agenda is the financial principles amendment. And back at it.
Thank you, yes. So the financial principles are adopted jointly by the mayor and the city council, and they're used as a way to establish policy regarding the management of city funds, and also used to direct the budget adoption process and creation process. We used to adopt these principles at the same time we adopted the budget. And a few years ago, as we were talking through, we decided it made a lot more sense to adopt them ahead of the budget if there were any changes, so that would give continued guidance to the administrative staff as they prepared the mayor's budget that would be proposed. So that's why we were doing that now. Again, as with the norms and rules, there's a lot of changes, but most of them are related to grammar and clarifying redundant language and those kinds of things. There are two substantive changes in the financial principles. The first one is removing language that indicates that property taxes will be increased only as a last resort, and that was the term in the previous financial principles. We know right now that current levels of service may need to be increased because of police and fire needs. We know that as we reviewed the CAFR, you learned that we don't have a lot of reserves like other cities do. We have $23 million in backlogs in curb, gutter, and sidewalk, and tens of millions of dollars in street road repair. So there's lots of things that the city could use additional funds for. So I just proposed replacement language in the information that's in your packet that removes that language relating to a last resort and just treats proposed property tax increase, incremental property tax increases as just another tool used to balance the governmental funds. And based on our discussion during the work session last week, I have also proposed alternative language, which I gave to you in the work session. And it leaves the same language as proposed in the packet, but adds an additional sentence which reads, if current levels of service are deemed insufficient to meet the city's goals and objectives, property tax increases may be proposed after a thorough analysis of needs and associated costs has been completed. So if you like that alternative language, you can substitute that with the financial principles. The second substantive change just removes language that related to pay for performance. Several years ago, as you know, the city had not been able to give employee pay increases for many years. And so as part of a goodwill effort, the council administration set aside some funds in committed fund balance for that purpose. Now, as you know, the administration has made it a priority to make sure that employees get at least small incremental raises And so we felt like that language no longer needed to be included in the financial principles. And so we replaced that with just the city will make funding for employee pay for performance or step increases a budget priority. So those are the two substantive changes that are proposed in the financial principles. And then there's that alternative language if you prefer that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we adopt Joint Resolution 2016-8.
I second it.
Sorry,
doing
just
the
as a
alternative?
point of clarification.
Yes,
would
I
you-
think the alternative
language?
language is important, so substituting that, the as proposed with the alternative language, adding the sentence, if current levels of service are deemed insufficient to meet the city's goals and objectives, property tax increases may be proposed after a thorough analysis of needs and associated costs has been completed.
And I still second that.
Okay. There is a motion by Councilmember Heyer and second by Councilmember Stevens to adopt proposed Joint Resolution 2016 with the alternative language. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Garner,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair,
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye. That passes. Thank you, Janine, for all your hard work. Next on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. Seeing no movement, comments from the mayor's proxy?
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to point out that Forbes magazine came out today and ranked Ogden the 6th fastest growing city in the United States for 2016. That's a great accomplishment, especially if you look at the cities we're amongst. It's quite an achievement, so I toot our horn a little.
Any comments from council members? None?
Madam Chair, can I make a comment?
Yes.
So with the financial principles, you've now made taking your first step in adopting the 2017 budget. So many more steps to come. Do want to say thank you to Janine for efforts on the norms, procedures, and the financial principles and coordinating all of that. Very fine job.
No more comments?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Garner to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will be adjourning into a work session.